I'm Rebecca Chen, 28 years old. 6 years ago, 3 weeks before my high school graduation, my father sat me down in his home office in Westchester County, New York, and told me my college fund, $215,000 that my grandmother left specifically for my education, was gone. He'd given it all to my brother Tyler for his MBA at Columbia Business School. When I asked why, he looked me straight in the eye and said, "Tyler's the one with real potential. You should learn a trade. Girls like you don't need fancy degrees." What he didn't know was that 6 years later, I'd be the one signing his paychecks. Before I continue, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely want to know how this story ends. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is there. Now, let me take you back to where this all began. My brother Tyler is 2 years older than me. Growing up in our 5-bedroom, colonial in Scarsdale, the difference in how we were treated wasn't subtle. It was a canyon neither of us acknowledged. Tyler got a BMW 320/80 for his 16th birthday. I got a Target gift card for mine. Tyler's bedroom was twice the size of mine. When he wanted to go to baseball camp in Arizona, Dad wrote a check for $3,800 without blinking. When I asked for $200 for a robotics competition, Mom said, "That's a lot of money, Rebecca. Are you sure you'll stick with it?" Tyler was what they called naturally gifted. He pulled B's and C's throughout high school while partying every weekend, and Dad would clap him on the shoulder and say, "That's my boy. Work smarter, not harder." I maintained a 4.2 GPA, was president of the computer science club, and got into MIT early action. Dad's response? "That's nice, honey, pass the potatoes." My grandmother, Nai, was different. She emigrated from Taiwan in 1972 with $300 in her pocket and built a successful import business. She saw something in me that my parents didn't. Every Sunday she'd take me to her office in Chinatown and teach me about inventory systems, accounting software, and what she called the difference between working hard and working smart. When I was 12, she pulled me aside at a family dinner. "Rebecca," she said in Mandarin, gripping my hand, "your parents are blind, but I see you. Everything I've built, you will carry forward." She'd already shown me the trust documents, $215,000 set aside explicitly for my college education, held in an account with both her name and mine. The money couldn't be touched until I graduated high school, but it was mine, protected, or so I thought. Nai died when I was 16, pancreatic cancer. She was gone in 8 weeks. At her funeral, Dad shook hands with her lawyer, Andrew Zhao from Zhao Partners LLP. I remember watching them talk by the reception table at the Pearl River Mart restaurant, both in dark suits, speaking in low voices. I remember Dad glancing at me once, his expression unreadable. I should have known something was wrong then. 3 weeks before graduation, Dad called me into his office. It was a Tuesday evening in May 2018. I can still smell the leather of his chair, see the diplomas on the wall, Cornell MBA, various sales awards from Johnson & Johnson where he was a regional VP. Tyler was already packing for his summer internship at Goldman Sachs. "Sit down, Rebecca," Dad said, not looking up from his computer. I sat in the chair across from his mahogany desk, the same chair where I'd received every major lecture growing up. The posture correction talk. The "you spend too much time on computers" talk. The "why can't you be more social like Tyler" talk. "I've been reviewing the family finances," he started, fingers steepled. "Tyler's MBA is more expensive than we anticipated. Columbia's program is $147,000 for 2 years, plus living expenses in Manhattan. You know how important this is for his future." "Okay," I said slowly. My MIT acceptance letter was pinned to the bulletin board in my room. Tuition listed at $53,790 per year. "Your grandmother's trust fund for you, the $215,000. Tyler needs it more." The words didn't make sense at first. I actually laughed. "What do you mean Tyler needs it? That's my college money. Nai left it for me specifically." Dad finally looked at me. His face was completely calm. "Rebecca, be realistic. You're good with computers, but you don't have Tyler's leadership qualities. MIT is a waste of money for someone with your limitations. You should learn a trade. Maybe coding boot camp. I hear those are popular now. You could be making money in 6 months instead of drowning in debt." "Limitations?" I repeated. My hands were gripping the armrests. "You're not a people person, sweetheart. You're too intense. Too focused on technical stuff. The real money is in management, in leadership. Tyler has that. You're better suited for behind-the-scenes work, community college, online courses. There are paths that make more sense for girls like you. Girls like me. Dad, I got into MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. I have a 4.2 GPA. And Tyler got into Columbia. Do you know how competitive their MBA program is? This is his shot at Goldman Sachs, at McKinsey. This is a $200,000 starting salary we're talking about. But the money is legally mine. Nine Eyes Trust has been dissolved, Dad interrupted. I had Andrew Zhao handle the paperwork after your grandmother passed. As your legal guardian, I redirected the funds to where they'd do the most good for this family. The money's gone, Rebecca. Tyler's already paid his deposit. This discussion is over. I sat there frozen. You stole my college fund. Don't be dramatic. I'm your father. I made a decision for this family's future. Tyler will take care of all of us someday. He'll probably hire you at whatever firm he ends up at, Dad said, turning back to his computer. Now, I've already talked to the community college in White Plains. They have an excellent IT certificate program. I'll pay for that. Fair? Fair. I walked out of that office, went to my room and cried for 3 hours. The next morning I called MIT and explained I couldn't attend. The financial aid officer was kind but firm. I'd missed the deadline for additional aid. I called Andrew Zhao's office. His secretary said he couldn't speak with me without my father's permission since I was still 17. I was trapped. I didn't go to community college. Instead, I went to the New York Public Library every single day that summer and taught myself everything I could about web development, cloud computing, and cybersecurity. I used YouTube, FreeCodeCamp, Coursera. I lived in that library from open to close. By August, I'd built 3 functioning web applications and had a portfolio website. I applied to 200 entry-level jobs in tech. I got 1 callback, a tiny software startup in Long Island City called DataStream Solutions, 4 employees total, building data visualization tools for small businesses. They hired me as a junior developer for $38,000 a year. I moved out the day after I turned 18. Studio apartment in Astoria, Queens, $1,400 a month. I slept on an air mattress for 6 months. Tyler, meanwhile, was living in a luxury doorman building in Murray Hill, courtesy of Dad's, my, $215,000. He posted Instagram stories from rooftop bars, networking events at the Harvard Club, ski trips to Aspen. Dad shared every single post on Facebook with captions like, "So proud of my son," and "Future CEO right here." I didn't get a single call on my birthday that year. But I worked. God, did I work. 12, 14-hour days. I taught myself Python, React, PostgreSQL, AWS. The founder of DataStream, a guy named Marcus Webb, saw something in me. He gave me more responsibility, bigger projects. By year 2, I was their lead developer. By year 3, I was their CTO. Tyler graduated Columbia in 2020, got a job at Deloitte Consulting, starting salary $95,000. Good, not great. Dad threw him a party at the Scarsdale Golf Club, 200 people. I wasn't invited. In 2021, DataStream got acquired by a mid-sized tech company for $4.2 million. My equity stake, which Marcus had quietly been giving me over 3 years, was worth $340,000 after taxes. I didn't tell my family. I know some of you watching have been through something similar. If this is resonating with you, drop a comment below. Let me know you're here. And if you want to know what happened next, because trust me, this gets intense, make sure you're subscribed. With that acquisition money, I did something crazy. I started my own company. It was called Helix Analytics. The idea was simple. Small and medium businesses were drowning in data, but had no idea how to use it. Salesforce was too expensive. Excel was too basic. We built an AI-powered analytics platform that could plug into any business system and give actual insights in plain English. Your Tuesday lunch specials are losing money. Your checkout process loses 40% of customers at step 3. Stuff that made sense. I hired my first employee in January 2022, my old roommate from Astoria, Keisha Williams, who had a finance degree and couldn't find work because she didn't have the right connections. Then came Dev Patel, a brilliant developer from my DataStream days who was tired of corporate bureaucracy. Then Maria Santos, a designer from Puerto Rico who made our interface look like something from Apple. We launched in June 2022. By December, we had 40 clients. By June 2023, we had 200. By December 2023, we had 1,100 clients and $8.4 million in annual recurring revenue. I was 26 years old, running a legitimate tech company from a real office in Long Island City, the same neighborhood where I'd started making $38,000 a year. My parents still thought I worked some computer job. Tyler, meanwhile, was struggling. Deloitte had laid him off in their 2022 downsizing. He bounced between consulting gigs, never lasting more than 8 months anywhere. His LinkedIn showed 6 jobs in 4 years. Dad made excuses. The market's tough. Tyler's too talented. These companies don't appreciate him. He's holding out for the right opportunity. I heard all this through Mom's occasional texts. We weren't close, but she'd send me messages every few months. "Hope you're well. Tyler's looking for new opportunities. You don't know anyone hiring, do you?" I never responded. Then came the call that changed everything. March 15, 2024. A Friday afternoon. I was in our conference room reviewing Q1 numbers with my team. We'd just crossed $12 million AR when my phone rang. Unknown number. Westchester area code. Rebecca Chen? A woman's voice, professional, speaking. This is Jennifer Morales from Silverman Howe, attorneys at law. I'm calling regarding the estate of Lin Chen, also known as Wei Lin Chen, your grandmother. Do you have a moment? My heart stopped. My grandmother died 8 years ago. Yes, I'm aware. I'm calling about irregularities we've discovered in the handling of her estate, specifically regarding the trust fund designated for your education. Would you be available to come to our office? We're located in White Plains. What kind of irregularities? The type that typically involve the district attorney's office. I really can't discuss this over the phone. How's Monday at 2 p.m.? Monday morning I took the Metro North to White Plains. Silverman Howe occupied the 8th floor of a glass office building overlooking the courthouse. Jennifer Morales met me in the lobby, early 50s, sharp gray suit, the kind of person who doesn't waste words. She led me to a conference room with a table covered in documents. Miss Chen, I'll be direct. Your grandmother's estate has been under review due to an audit triggered by the IRS. During that review, we discovered that the trust fund she established for you, $215,000 held in a Fidelity account, was liquidated in July 2016, 1 month after her death. I know, I said quietly. My father told me he had the right to redirect it as my guardian. Jennifer's expression hardened. He told you he had the right? Yes, she slid a document across the table. This is the original trust document filed in 2010. The trust explicitly names you as the sole beneficiary upon your 18th birthday or high school graduation, whichever came first. It includes a specific clause, Section 4.2 here, that prevents any guardian, including parents, from accessing these funds for any reason other than your educational expenses directly billed from an accredited institution. I stared at the highlighted text. So he couldn't legally give it to Tyler. Correct, the trust was irrevocable and protected. However, your father filed paperwork claiming the trust was incorrectly structured and had it dissolved through the surrogate's court. The judge who approved it, Judge Martin Delacroix, was subsequently investigated for accepting bribes in estate cases. He was disbarred in 2019. My hands started shaking. Are you saying your father paid to have your inheritance stolen? Yes. We found a $15,000 payment from your father's business account to Judge Delacroix's personal LLC, 2 weeks before the dissolution was approved. The lawyer who prepared the paperwork, Andrew Zhao, is also under investigation for falsifying documents in multiple estates. The room tilted. There's more, Jennifer continued. The trust wasn't just the $215,000 your grandmother saved, it included a life insurance policy and shares in her import company, Chen International Trading. The total value in 2016 was $547,329.16. Your father received all of it. I couldn't breathe. $500,000? Yes. And Ms. Chen, your grandmother's business still exists. It's being run by her former partner, David Wu. He's been trying to contact you for 6 years. Your father told him you wanted nothing to do with the family business. But according to your grandmother's will, you own 60% of the company upon turning 25, which you did 3 years ago. She slid another document across the table. A business valuation report dated February 2024. Chen International Trading, current value, $8.2 million. My 60% stake, $4.92 million. The next 3 weeks were a blur of lawyers, accountants, and private investigators. Jennifer's firm specialized in estate fraud, and they took my case on contingency. We documented everything, the original trust documents with Nai's signature, the fraudulent dissolution paperwork with Andrew Zhao's signature, bank records showing Dad's $15,000 payment to Judge Delacroix, wire transfers totaling $547,329.16 from Nai's accounts to Dad's personal account. Columbia Business School tuition payments matching the amounts from my trust. Emails between Dad and Andrew Zhao discussing resolving the Rebecca situation. Text messages between Dad and Mom. She doesn't need to know. The money's better used on Tyler's future. We also contacted the district attorney's office. Turns out I wasn't the only victim of this scheme. Judge Delacroix and Andrew Zhao had stolen from 19 families over 8 years, totaling more than $4 million. And David Wu? What would you do in this situation? Comment 1 if you'd confront him privately, 2 if you'd go straight to the police, or 3 if you'd do what I did. Dad retired from Johnson & Johnson in April 2024. He was 62. Mom planned a retirement party at the Scarsdale Golf Club. the same place Tyler's Columbia graduation party was held. 200 guests, country club crowd, college friends, former colleagues, black tie optional. I got an invitation in the mail. It was addressed to Rebecca Chen and guest, the first time I'd been invited to a family event in 6 years. Mom had even written a note on the RSVP card. Would mean so much to your father if you came. He's very proud of you. Let's reconnect as a family. I called her. Why the sudden interest in reconnecting? Mom's voice was strained. Rebecca, you're still our daughter. Tyler told us you have some computer business? Your father wants to hear about it. Please come. Bring a friend. It's at 6 p.m. on Saturday, May 18th. Tyler had told them about Helix, probably saw something on LinkedIn. I'd been careful about social media, but business press had mentioned me a few times. TechCrunch had done a small piece on emerging founders under 30. They wanted to reconnect now that I might be successful. I told Mom I'd be there. I wore a black Armani suit, brought Keisha as my +1 for moral support. We drove up in my Tesla Model S, a luxury I'd bought myself 6 months prior after Helix crossed $10 million ARR. Dad's retirement party was exactly what I expected. White tablecloths, jazz trio, open bar, catered appetizers from Wolfgang's Steakhouse. Dad was holding court by the bar, laughing with his former colleagues, a scotch in hand. Tyler stood next to him in a Ralph Lauren suit, showing everyone his new Apple Watch. Mom fluttered between groups, playing hostess. Dad saw me and did a double take. I guess he wasn't used to seeing me look successful. He walked over, hand extended. Rebecca, you made it, and you look, wow, very professional. Hi, Dad. This must be your friend? He looked at Keisha Williams, she's my chief operating officer. Dad's smile flickered. So the computer thing is going well? Very well? That's good for you. We should talk later, catch up. He patted my shoulder and moved back to his friends. Tyler came over next. Beck, long time. He tried to hug me. I stepped back. Tyler, dude, I saw you got mentioned in TechCrunch. Some analytics company? That's sick. You hiring? He laughed. Just kidding, mostly. I'm actually between opportunities right now. Consulting's brutal, man. I heard. Dinner was served at 7 p.m. I sat at a table with distant cousins I hadn't seen in years. They asked polite questions about my work. I gave polite answers. I watched my parents across the room, Dad's arm around Mom, both of them glowing with retirement happiness. Speeches started at 8 p.m. Mom went first, talking about Dad's 30-year career, his dedication, his sacrifice for the family. Then Tyler, talking about Dad being his hero, his mentor, teaching him everything about business and success. Everyone applauded, then Dad stood up for his own speech. Thank you all for coming tonight, he started, voice booming across the room. He was good at this, the charming executive working the crowd. 30 years at JJ, and I can honestly say I'm leaving with no regrets. I'm proud of what I've accomplished, but I'm even prouder of my family. He gestured to Tyler. My son Tyler, who's already making his mark in consulting. Brilliant mind, natural leader. He's going to do incredible things. Applause. And my daughter Rebecca is here tonight. Dad pointed at me. The crowd turned. Rebecca, stand up. I stood slowly. Rebecca took a different path than Tyler. Didn't go to college, but she's working in computers, tech stuff, very modern, and you know what? I'm proud of that too. She learned a trade, just like I suggested. Sometimes the best lessons are the ones we resist at first. He raised his glass, to family, to hard work, and to knowing your place in the world. The crowd toasted. To family. Tyler was beaming. Mom was dabbing her eyes. Dad sat back down to applause. I stayed standing. Actually, I said, my voice cutting through the chatter, I have a few things to say. The room went quiet. Dad looked startled. Rebecca, we're done with speeches. I'm not. I walked to the front of the room, heels clicking on the hardwood. Keisha was staring at me, eyes wide. I hadn't told her my plan. I pulled out my phone and connected it to the venue's display screen via their Wi-Fi. The golf club had great AV equipment. Within seconds, my phone was mirrored on the 80-inch screen at the front of the room. 6 years ago, my father sat me down 3 weeks before my high school graduation and told me that my grandmother, his mother, had left me a $215,000 college fund, but he was giving it to Tyler instead. He told me to learn a trade because girls like me didn't need fancy degrees. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Dad's face went white. Rebecca, this isn't appropriate. What he didn't tell me, what he didn't tell anyone, is that my grandmother's trust fund was legally mine, irrevocably mine, and he committed fraud to steal it. I pulled up the first document on screen, the original trust paperwork, with Nai's signature and the highlighted section 4.2 protecting my inheritance. This is the trust Lin Chen established for me in 2010. It explicitly prevented anyone, including my parents, from accessing these funds for any reason except my direct educational expenses. Next document, the fraudulent dissolution order. This is the paperwork my father filed, with a corrupt judge's signature, dissolving that trust 1 month after my grandmother died. The judge, Martin Delacroix, was later disbarred for accepting bribes in estate cases. My father paid him $15,000 to approve this theft. I displayed the bank record showing the $15,000 payment. The room was dead silent now. Dad had stood up. "This is slander, you can't—" "I have emails, Dad, should I read them?" I pulled up the email chain between Dad and Andrew Zhao. "We need to resolve the Rebecca situation before she turns 18. The money's better used on Tyler's future. She doesn't have to know." Mom's hand was over her mouth. Tyler looked like he might throw up. The trust wasn't just $215,000. It was $547,329.16. My father took every penny and gave it to Tyler while telling me I wasn't worth investing in. I turned to Tyler. Did you know your Columbia MBA was paid for with money stolen from me?" Tyler's voice was barely a whisper. Dad said it was his money, his savings. It wasn't. I pulled up the next document, the Chen International Trading Business Valuation. My grandmother also left me 60% ownership of her import company. My father told the business partner I wanted nothing to do with it. He lied, I was never contacted. That company is now worth $8.2 million. My stake is worth $4.92 million around the room. Additionally, the business partner has been setting aside my share of the profits since 2019, which totals $1.2 million. I looked at my father, his hands were trembling. His face had gone from white to red. "So, yes, Dad. I learned a trade. I learned software development in libraries because you stole my education. I built a tech company from nothing. It's called Helix Analytics. We did $12 million in revenue last year. We have 83 employees. And last week we received a $47 million series of funding offer from Sequoia Capital." The room erupted in whispers. "So when you said you're proud I know my place in the world, you're right. I do know my place. I'm the granddaughter of an immigrant who built an empire. I'm a founder who will probably be worth 9 figures before I'm 35. And I'm the daughter who's prosecuting her father for fraud." I pulled up the final document, the criminal complaint filed with the Westchester County District Attorney's Office. "Richard Chen, you're being charged with fraud, forgery, and theft in the amount of $547,329.16. Andrew Zhao, your lawyer, is being charged with falsifying legal documents in multiple estate cases. You're both facing 8 to 20 years in prison. The DA's office will be contacting you this week." Dad collapsed into his chair. His face was gray. "You can't do this. I'm your father." "You haven't been my father since you chose Tyler's ambition over my future. You stole from me. You lied to me. You told 200 people tonight that I learned my place." "Well, I did, and it's far, far above yours." I disconnected my phone from the screen. The room was chaos now, people standing, talking, pointing. Mom was crying. Tyler was frozen. I walked back to my table, grabbed my clutch and looked at Keisha. "Let's go." As we walked out, I heard Dad shouting, "She's lying, this is vindictive, she's always been jealous of Tyler, she's—" His voice faded as the doors closed behind us. The legal process took 18 months. Richard Chen, my father, was arrested in June 2024. So was Andrew Zhao. The case made local news. Johnson & Johnson executive charged with estate fraud, but didn't go national. Small mercies. Judge Delacroix had already been convicted in 2019, but the DA used my case and 18 others to build a larger fraud prosecution. The evidence was overwhelming. Dad's lawyer tried to argue he'd made an error in judgment, and that the money stayed within the family, but the judge wasn't having. In November 2025, Dad was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison. Andrew Zhao got 15. Both were ordered to pay full restitution plus penalties to all victims. Mom filed for divorce in August 2024. She claimed she didn't know the extent of Richard's actions, which was partially true based on the emails, but she'd definitely known something was wrong. She tried to contact me through Jennifer Morales. I didn't respond. Tyler reached out directly. We met at a coffee shop in Manhattan in September 2024. He looked terrible. Thinner, older than his 30 years. "Beck, I'm sorry, I didn't know, I swear to God I didn't know the money was yours. Dad told me it was his savings from work that he wanted to invest in my future." "Did you ever wonder why he couldn't afford to help me too?" Tyler stared at his untouched coffee. I thought you were just being difficult, refusing help out of pride. Dad said you were stubborn, that you'd rejected community college." "I didn't reject it. I couldn't afford it after Dad stole everything." I know that now, Tyler's voice cracked. I've been going to therapy, trying to understand how I didn't see it. The favoritism, the way he talked about you. I was complicit even if I didn't know the specifics. You were his golden child. It wasn't all your fault. That doesn't make it okay. Tyler looked up. I'm paying you back, the Columbia tuition, the living expenses, all $180,000. I've set up a payment plan with my lawyer. It'll take me years, but you'll get every penny. I'd already recovered $6.1 million through the estate and the company. I didn't need Tyler's money, but I understood this was about his conscience, not mine. Okay, I said, but Tyler, we're not going to be close, maybe ever. I need you to accept that. I do. He stood to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, I'm proud of what you built, and I'm sorry I never said that before. It's May 2027 now, I'm 28. Helix Analytics raised that Series A and grew to 200 employees. We're projected to hit $50 million in revenue this year. Sequoia is talking about a Series B at a $300 million valuation. I'm still CEO. Keisha is still COO. Dev is CTO. Maria is Chief Design Officer. We built something real. Chen International Trading merged with Helix in a complex deal that essentially made me the majority owner of both companies. David Wu retired and I gave him a generous exit package. The combined entity is now worth around $15 million, and growing. I bought a brownstone in Park Slope, Brooklyn, 3 floors.